Good evening. I'd like to call Property Management Committee to order. First order of business is approval of minutes. Do I have a motion on that?
Make a motion to approve the minutes.
Got a motion? Second?
Second.
Now second, any discussion? All those in favor, say aye.
Aye.
First order of business, judicial building, parking, garage, construction update.
Okay, Mr. Chairman, I forgot that we had moved our meeting last time, so we didn't meet at regular time. I don't have any new information on the dollars. In other words, we met on like March the 3rd, and I reported to you on the February 27th pay request. So percentage-wise on dollars, there's no change, so there's nothing to talk about. If any of you are driving by either one of those properties, much has happened in 23 days, so they're making great progress, and I don't know of any particular difficulties, period.
Okay.
I think there is a meeting, April the 4th. April, over at the,
But there's one meeting scheduled every day, once a month, and even
it's the PBA or somebody?
okay,
Okay.
a building, I don't know, I didn't bring that date with me, I should have. I will let Vicki email you what the next opportunity for you to go over there and tour the building is. Okay?
In the back of my mind, I got April 4th.
I probably got it on my calendar, but I'd have to put it out here. I may do that in just a moment.
I will say this, just about any area you want to come in, it's such a commanding view, it just adds to the skyline, you know, it's fantastic.
They're putting the last pieces of that structural skin, you might say, on the building at the very tallest point up there. Even they started the first piece today, it appeared. All right, so that's all I got on that, Mr. Chairman.
Ambulance station construction update.
Well, same thing on both of them.
Okay.
They're putting the brick on that building, and it's really,
Everything moving right along.
yes, sir.
Okay. All right, Rockville Historical Society proposal for Rockville store.
All right, so if it's all right with the committee, we'll invite Mr. Eddie Macon, who is now the newly elected, are you the chairperson? President of the Rockville Historical Society, and his associate, Miss Denise Carlton, if it's okay,
That's fine.
come on up here. And I don't know, Mr. Galloway, you with them or just visiting with us?
Just listening, sir.
Back there and answer.
And Mr. Pettis.
Yeah, Commissioner Pettis Reed, you might as well just get right there. Okay.
All right. Miss Carol, I haven't found that date yet for April, so we'll go on. Okay. As a little bit of review here, on February the 20th, first of all, we put all this on their iPads here, so maybe some of them have had a bit of time to review that. And they included here, on February the 20th, we had this public notice that gave any qualified nonprofit organization to make a proposal to be delivered on March the 20th with respect to what happens with the relocation, renovation, and continued promise to operate and maintain that thing. So we've had one applicant, and the applicant is Rockville Historical Society. Mr. Eddie Macon is their new president, and Ms. Carlton was the author of much of this, it appears. So
And a board member.
And a board member, that's right. I remember that. Yes, that's right. So they have successfully done several things. They have filed they are chartered with the state of Tennessee as a nonprofit entity, and they filed all the documents apparently necessary for that. They've also filed with the state a request to be identified as a Tennessee Charitable Solicitation Organization. They've done that. They've also filed the short form of a 501c3 request with the Internal Revenue Service. That would give them permission to, it puts a limitation on how many dollars they can raise, but it certainly would be sufficient for what they're doing. So they've completed all three of those things, and they hadn't got official response, I guess, on those last two I mentioned. But anyway, all I public notice said is it had to be a qualified nonprofit organization. We believe that certainly they met those requirements. And the only other thing that they would have to do, well, first of all, this group here has to sort of bless their application and accept it as being complete, and us allowing us to continue this journey with them to actually do everything that needs to be done to make this a reality. So, if property management approves this, and Mr. Chairman, you can decide if you want to take it all the way to the full commission. If they approve and accept this as complete, and we believe that they have done so, that's my recommendation, and you can see the outline of what they're proposing to do, et cetera. This public notice says within 30 days of our acceptance, commission's acceptance, that they will then give reasonable evidence that they got at least $50,000 cobbled together in either restricted cash, in-kind services, in-kind materials, etc., so that it'll give some reasonable assurance that they've got the wherewithal to do what they say they're going to do. So that's sort of where we are. And these two are here, and they can answer any questions you may have, I'm sure.
What you gonna do?
Well, our mission of the organization as a whole, beyond the store, but it's all-encompassing, is just to preserve the history of what I call the Rockvale Corridor. I've only been physically living there for 6 years, but I actually, a little bit of backstory, I've owned property there since 1996. I live right across from the Versailles store, and I built my retirement home there. But our goal is to really preserve the history of that area. As you see Rockvale growing like the rest of the county, we are losing somewhat of that history. So we're seeing our first project being the store as adding to that effort to preserve the history and actually creating a location where people can come and relive that history. It's sad to say, in a sense, I've made a point to start learning the history of the 6 years that I've lived there, that a lot of the new residents in that area do not understand that that's Rockvale. If you ask them, oh, I live in Rockvale, and I'll say, well, have you visited Rockvale? And they say, oh yeah, we go by the school and the post office every day. Well, they don't understand that the true center of Rockvale is over on what I call the Rockvale Corridor, the older road. So that's our purpose, is just to focus in that area and to upgrade it and turn the store. Denise, feel free to add, it'll be a location, a spot where people can gather. It will be, meetings, local community. I have the privilege, I guess you would call it privilege, of being the president of the Rockvale Realty Club also. And we operate, we have a lease on the old Rockvale School, what's remaining of it, and our meeting room is booked solid. I mean, we are, it's not uncommon for the Boy Scouts, Girl Scouts, birthday parties in that area. So this would be another location for people to come to for historical meetings, smaller size meetings where they can't get into the school right now. So.
Well, I'm from Rockvale. My parents are from Rockvale. Actually, a descent, an uncle's line on my father's family built the store, and it's the first commercial building. It's the first building in Rockvale after the Civil War, when the road to Iggaville was built for the turnpike that brought Iggaville into Rutherford County. And there were at one time, it was a very thriving little area. At one time, it had 3 stores, if you can imagine that, up through the early 1900s that serviced that area, 3 grocery stores. And so they would trade off who would be the post office and apply to the federal government to get the post office rights back and forth. So my childhood, and most of the family members and people that are out there, they all have a story of the Rockvale store. It was always a big treat for us to be taken to the Rockvale store, where we got a treat always. So the main thing is that what the my fellow members that have grown up there, have family connections there, we would like to see it go back to a lot of that community center of activity where the generations gather together for, checker matches. It's always famous for its checker matches and competitions. Each store, Versailles played cards, and Concord, the 3 stores all blend together, and the 3 stores are still existing. They all blend together for one larger community. And part of that was tied to the 1910 consolidation of the school systems, where they built at the community center the 1910 school, then the 1927 school. But all the smaller stores with the rural route system for the post office, they, and the schools closed and they all consolidated. And Rockvale, even though it wasn't the oldest, because Versailles was, became the dominant name that everybody had. The first school for Rockvale was built in 1896 behind the store, given the land by the same person who built the store. So, it's kind of ironic we're opening up the new high school again, which started, in 1896, now, and that's part of this year. So it was kind of, a good time for us to start the Rockvale Historical Society, because we'll be able to be pivotal in starting, a couple of different things and recreating that history. So, but basically, we want it to be a gathering place. It's hard for a lot of the elderly people to get out there and drive all the way to St. Clair, all the way into traffic and into town, and it'll be a daily place where they'll be able to, member will have a key, they can go in there and, have coffee together, sit and talk. We're going to have, it set up, brought back in with a lot of the genealogy for that area, so they can share with their family. That we can have the museum collectibles for the store. A lot of people are bringing memorabilia back, and it will just have that historical gathering. We don't intend to run it as a restaurant or any of those kind of things. We just want it truly to be the center of the community again, where people can drop in as they want to and gather and visit and be able to reconnect the community back together.
Are you talking about that store?
The store itself. So it'll look like a store. It just won't be, we won't have vendors dropping off supplies.
Yeah, we'll take the metal siding off of
It'll
it,
go
the
back to
addition
its
to the
old-
back. It'll be
Yeah.
back to the original.
The siding is still under it, the wood siding is under it. Most of the original pieces, the wood doors, the wood floors, the slats, the windows, all of that stuff, the core stuff is there. And I've done restoration projects before, and all of that core stuff is there. It's like you're going to take off the ugly and you're going to put it back to where you transplanted it back to, like a Walton's grocery store on the outside, where it has that charm and look and appeal of a 1900s, store. And it's on the National Registry for 3 different timelines from the restoration period, because it is a restoration community. It was one of the few restoration communities in Rutherford County that started after the Civil War. It was a mixed black and white community from get-go, from businesses to houses. And then they have it on there for the World War I time, and then again for the World War II time. So we can take this mixed look, and the committee can decide, and the community can decide whether they want painted signs on the outside of it or whether they want an 1890s look. They can have the inside one version, the outside, because it's 133 years old, so it had a, accumulation of different eras and periods that you can reflect. So that's our hope. That's our hope.
A couple of, the opportunity for the new residents in the area to really learn about the history and a gathering spot. Being the new kid on the block, per se, in that area, 6 years is not a long time for that area. But there's just stories that I've learned in exploring that I didn't know this, that Rockvale citizens got together and they used the Ruritan Club as the vehicle for doing this. They actually got the second government grant in the United States for a utility system, and they set in the water system, tapped into Eagleville, and they actually ran the water system there, did the billing, did the repair, and at some point they turned it over to CUD when it became so, with growth, became too big to control. And also the telephone system. Right next to the old store used to be the telephone office, central office. I think.
It's called the central office. It's my grandparents owned that when I was growing up, and it was, my parents ran it, substituted for the lady that did it. It is actually a replica building that Mayor Westbrook's built at Cannonsburg, and the equipment and the inside furnishings are from that store the building next to the store. So the telephone office, the Ma Bell system, and party line, and that was one. Rockvale's always been like that. If there was a need, they get together, usually at the Rockvale store, and they decide how they were going to take care of it. Just like the toll road, it's always been that kind of a community, and it's dying, without some censure for people to gather and have daily community communications and friendships and stuff like that. The generations are getting to where they know each other less. And it's just, communities like that die off. And, it's one of 10 rural communities that, help make this county a county. And, it just needs that little impetus to revitalize that area. We've already have a contractor bought one of the other historical houses, and he's working on it now to revitalize it. It's like 2 houses down from this. A brand new house just got built on the Rockville Road on one part. There's a building lot available now for sale. Plus, there's a lot of undeveloped land between 99 and Old Rockville Road that's still undeveloped that would be able to be, eventually it'll be houses, because that's what it's zoned for, is single-family homes. So, it'd just be, a little historic hamlet that we would be able to recreate, a little bit like a Leaguer's Fork, and, and some of those things that other things in commercial and other stuff will still continue to grow out and around it, just like the extended Rockville community with the new schools and the post office, and now I think even a medical practice office is going in. That'll all continue, and, all even down to Concord. And, we don't see none of that as a negative. We just want to revitalize this historic little portion of Rockville.
As president, I want to be somewhat pragmatic about what we do. You have to balance the new with the old, and we definitely want to support any new growth in the area where there's houses or businesses or whatever, but we still want to keep a little bit of the past just so we can remember and not lose that.
And I think the building across the store, which is the Masonic Lodge, was rebuilt in 1934. There was an older building there before, but it burned. It is actually, the Masonic Lodge has been there since 1934. It's the oldest building standing for a Masonic Lodge. It's eligible for the National Registry, so is the Ma Bell telephone office, central office. But it's the lodge upstairs. But it's always been a commercial space underneath, from chair making to carriage making to all kinds of things. It's now a commercial photography studio. So, there's going to be this mixture, and pretty much most of the historic buildings that were businesses on that road, they're all occupied now with businesses. And so, it's continued. The community's never died out. It's just the store has sat vacant for a while, and the central office was converted to a, small residential.
Commissioner.
In your response here, it says that your organization is asking for the county to transfer the building and some land, the exact amount to be determined. What is the optimum that you need, and maybe what's the situation on that?
Well, this is not completely defined. We're going to propose to locate them in the basic southwest corner of that property we own there. And it's not going to be a very large parcel of land, but we're going to put them there in a place that we believe we can still use the balance of the property for some other purpose at some point in time. So that's something we're going to do in the next 20 to 30 days as well. I've already got our engineering people thinking about this, and we're going to propose some specific site definition, and likely, this is not going to be, it's going to be less than an acre, quite a bit less than an acre probably. It creates a few zoning problems for us to subdivide something less than an acre. So I believe we'll likely propose, so far no one has told me this is not reasonable, some sort of perpetual lease on whatever plot of land we say this is yours to use forever.
He said that the exact amount to be determined by the county after all the...
But that's us, but we still have to give,
Yeah.
they need input to be sure what we're doing is reasonable and responsible, and gives them some ability to do what their vision really is, okay?
And that's the only way we've presented it to our neighbors and the people interested in doing it, the people willing to give the materials, willing to give their time, their money, all that thing, is that what it said, because that's what the public notice said, and we haven't gotten past that discussion. It's just, kind of like that good faith and hope that, this will all work out, and that we will get, enough of a size to operate the building for it to be, us to be able to do the handicap access that we need to, get in and out of the building, all those type things that we just, now the mayor knows me very well, so he knows that I want the whole track, but, but I'm in sales, so I want the big, biggest possible.
I'm the
and I'll-
engineer, I'm pragmatic. I'll say.
So I'll work backwards from that, but I'm always, I want the optimal, so, but I realize that we have, you have rules and other things we have to work around. So we're open to working, on a reasonable solution that we can all live
And we
with.
did have an engineer, structural engineer to look at it, and the building can be moved without any.
And we've already done all the costing. We've already cost out the resources. We have materials for whatever roof material we want. We have sources for the reclaimed lumber, for the different things that are not there that we would build back in the like style. We've already priced out moving the building in some fashion. We don't know yet what part that move will be, so that will change the pricing on the moving of the structure. But we've already worked all those costs out. And we have reconstruction contractors that I've worked with on other buildings that are, going to supervise a lot of the work for us, even though we may have other people doing a lot of the work.
Well, I'm sure there'll be 110% cooperation if there's such a thing as 10% more than 100. And we'll be good neighbors, along with y'all being good neighbors.
Appreciate it.
Am I understanding you right? You said maybe they could hold some meetings in the building and so forth?
Well, what I would
Eventually.
Well, once it's rehabbed and, it's not completely, we could go in and clean it up and do a lot of things and it would look, as good as what you see in some of the historic restaurants, even Miller's Grocery. I mean, it's, if you cleaned everything out and did a facade update, then you would have the inside and outside. It could be cleaned up pretty quickly, but we would want to go in and do a nice presentation of that, and our historical society meeting, that would be our headquarters for our meetings and stuff. But I mean, we envisioned that the tables in the center would all be able to be moved so it could be reconfigured for different things. Most of the memorabilia and the store shelves for an old building had the divided shelves and the drawers. Those originals, most of those are still there. We would use that in its historical impact and put our things in it so that it still looked like that historical look of a store, but the feasibility of being able to move the furniture around and having tables for people to have long dinners or having checker matches or whatever, we would do that. And our thing is that we would like members in good standings could get a key and open up the building any day, any time, and have gatherings there.
Now, another thing, we always have to have room for parking, and parking are you getting enough land there to park?
At this point, I don't know what land
You
we're
don't know
getting.
how much. You don't know where you're going to have one person come in or 100 come in.
Right, and my
Well, you can't get 100 people in
no,
that
it's approximately 1,200 square feet.
building. It's about 25 or 40 or thereabouts.
Yeah, it's approximately 1,200 square feet. It's a shotgun style. It'll be open
it's
in the
got
inside, so there's a little bit
Cabinets
of
and
flow.
tables, et cetera, will be.
So, yeah, I mean, it is for small gatherings.
The fire marshal
and
might frown on
100 people.
we do have cooperation from the Ruatan, and they're, connecting with us to rebuild back part of this community revitalization. We also have, reached out to and have board members from the Masonic Lodge, and they have additional parking across the street that has always been historically used for the store too, and they're open to that as well. My concern is not having some parking on that side because we are going after a senior participation. So
I'm thinking about, say it opened today, and you might have one group to come once a month. And I know there could be other places people could park, but I'm thinking about 5 years, 10 years down the road, what's your plans?
well, there's more land there for sale, we're always, and I'm open to buying more.
The whole 1.6 acres, just make a motion. And then we'll buy something somewhere else. I wasn't planning on doing that, but anyway.
See, I told you I'm optimistic.
So you say you're going to move the building and just move it back a little bit?
Well,
or-
it's on the road edge because the road's encroached with it over 133 years because the road widths changed. Used to, you could pull a wagon up in front of it in the old pictures and things like that. That's just a natural, easement encroachment.
Back
So
in the
it
day,
sits.
Paul Johnson and Carol Cook, they just rode the wagon up there.
So I'm not going to go there, Trey. So there's a sight line and there's a curve and the Versailles Road comes in here, and so it all matters to, there's plenty, if you do the 1.68, there is enormous amount of parking because when it ran as a community store, all but about a half acre, the acre in the back part of it used to be just foliage. You know, I never even knew until they built the new Highway 99 and built that road up, built that area up as part of when they were crushing the gravel moving. I never knew what was behind that because it was all trees and foliage. So there's an acre more now than there ever was in my lifetime with people using it and parking
Yeah,
and stuff.
they didn't have any
So-
of that access to that.
So the Masonic Lodge is open, basically, you know, they meet nightly, once or twice a month and things like that. The daytime parking for that space, and they just added some more parking space, is always available. And it's, you know, so, but it's still, my concern is having enough parking or having enough outside space to get in and around and make it so that our seniors that we are targeting, it's a historical society, you know, so we'll be targeting during the day and evening use that would be able to get in and out, you know, and be able to park a little closer. So I'm hoping that, you know, we will have some parking ability. Hoping, but I don't, you know, like I said, it's an open discussion and we're just really getting our plea out there, a little bit behind on the curve. The Ernest has heard from me for years about, you know, how I want to do this, but, you know, it just kind of got moved to the forefront, so.
I kind of think we might ought to take a breath and not make a knee-jerk reaction here and do a little bit more due diligence and
Yeah,
recommendations from the mayor there.
Yeah, I think first,
Future date. So
I think
if
first
that's
you
agreeable
probably
with you,
need
Mayor.
to approve the Historical Society in doing this. I think we should do that first. And then maybe the mayor and the Historical Society, along with the commissioner probably from that district, can get together and come up with a plan and bring it back to us. But I think first, am I right, we need to approve the
Yep,
Historical
we need to accept
Society.
their application as reasonable and agree to continue this journey of,
I'll make a motion to do that.
We got a motion?
So moved.
Second.
Got a second. And now, any more discussion on the Historical Society? If not, all in favor, let it be known by saying aye.
and it may be that we'll just be right back before you again, maybe by next property management meeting with a preliminary site plan that we may have discussed with them, and they can give a report on where they stand with their ability to raise their necessary dollars, and we can continue that discussion from that point forward and see how we come out.
So if I can, and maybe this could be on the site plan, and it could just be very rough on a bar napkin, would be fine with me. But you mentioned 1.6 acres.
That's the total property.
Is the total property. And it sounds like a lot of that right now is just raw wooded.
Well, it's gravelled now mostly because they
It's
used
not
it.
wooded now.
It's not wooded now, it's mostly flat gravel because of the way they used it to position when they were building the Rockville Highway 99 highway. That was
Okay.
part of a,
So it's been clear, it's been
Clear
cleared out.
station, yeah, it's been cleared.
grubbed and they're using it for parking or something.
it's just fenced and
It's
open.
fenced in.
Okay. And then you say the Masonic Lodge is in very close proximity?
Across the street,
Okay.
directly.
And then if you could just kind of identify
Oh, yeah.
what's around it.
Yeah, and we have pictures. I mean, we've taken, you know, a lot of the pictures for the inside, the outside of the structure and what we want to do. And so we've gone through and the mayor let us go in with the engineer, of course, and with the contractors and that type of thing. So we've done a lot of the due diligence. We've already got commitments for, you know, cash as well as, you know, I mean, I'm getting $1,000 donation offers, you know,
Right.
and I can't collect any of that, even though
Until the proposal.
well, until the proposal and the county has gifted the land, or we made an agreement for us to have possession of the land, I can't collect any money for a restricted project.
Right.
But our 501c3, based on the new IRS rules and this fast track for this type of organization, you know, we'll have our 501c3 in a couple weeks. And then we will be able to still not collect money for this, but we're already set up to WOA so that we're already open for membership, already have the memberships in, the board members, the bylaws, all of those things have been done. The conversation for this in the community has been going on for quite a while, so, you know, I had to stop at 15 for the board members, and I said, y'all be founding members. So, you know, because it's an exciting thing. We've been wanting to do it for a while, and it's just kind of like the emphasis kind of came along to go ahead and just finally pull it together and try to see what we can do with y'all. And you know, I work with Patrick McIntyre, who's president of executive director for the Tennessee Historic Commission, and I've worked on projects in other parts of the state with him and other parts of this county with him. And so, you know, he and I have been discussing this since about 2009. And we won't meet the cycle. We could get money from Tennessee Historic Commission, grant money, but we won't meet that cycle to get that money with this. But I've already seen enough of the cash flow and the people that are on our board that have cash and money to spend, that we're not going to need that money anyway.
So if I understand right, this is entirely funded by private donations. If we donate, whether it's 1 square foot of land or 1.6 acres of land, the entire
Cost of the county will be zero.
Zero. Maintaining of that property,
Right.
mowing.
Right.
We walk away and we
Right.
say congratulations.
Liability be
Liability
transferred,
transferred to
everything,
us.
yeah.
Okay, all right.
Just as a matter of full disclosure, I'm not going to recommend giving the whole 1.6.
I understand, I'm just-
Because if we do, we will have to buy 1.6 or something else
Somewhere else,
to improve what we're doing out there with recycling.
And just as soon as the little bird flies around saying we're looking for some land, it automatically
Well,
goes up out.
There is some land available that I want to talk to them about when this is over here, that they ought to be seriously considering.
Us,
Yeah,
for the building?
the little building, the little telephone building property is for sale.
I know, I've already made an offer.
So,
I made an offer, he'll come up with a price and tell me what he wants for it.
I know what they want for it.
But I don't want the whole 3 acres, I just want I want to put the office with the store and keep the two historicals together. But yeah, I've already broached that subject, I just didn't get a serious response out of Randy yet.
It was in here.
I think that breath will come in handy, don't you, mate?
Okay.
Any more discussion on it?
All right.
If not, I'm looking forward to seeing you back here in our next meeting.
Did they vote on anything, Becky?
Yeah.
Yeah, we did.
It sounded
We're moved on.
All right, very good. Thank you.
Thank you.
Yeah. Okay, any other business?
Yes, sir, and I didn't get this on the agenda, but we need to
I
invite
already know
Miss
about it. I see her.
Miss Coral up here, please.
I see her back there.
All right, all of you know how difficult it is from time to time to get your cars and vehicles emissions tested. I mean, we've got 2 locations, one here in Murfreesboro and one down in Smyrna, but in any event, we really desperately need at least one more. So this is just sort of one little small step forward for a mobile testing station. So Ms. Crowell, you may tell them about this, and we do have a potential location that we think will work. We have to get your permission, and we have to get the Conservation Board's permission to use part of the site that we, a location out there at the Ag Center, which, so tell them about this. It's not, ma'am.
Chairman,
I
I
just
could do.
said I thought it was a good idea.
Oh,
Ag Center?
okay, so you tell them, this is not every day, all day, so it's a limited location, but tell them about that, Ms. Crowell, and we'll go from there.
Well, I feel like it will relieve the emissions station that we have here off of the Salem Highway. It's they'll be there the first Tuesday and the last Tuesday of each month from 8 until 1 o'clock. It's very popular in the other counties, the mobile emissions. What it is, it's a cargo van. All the equipment is in the back. It plugs into a 110 electrical outlet, and the only time that they wouldn't be there on those days designated is if it were to snow or a steady rain. And the reason for that is we're not planning on providing any type of cover for the van to be under. But Davidson County has 4 of those mobile emissions stations that doesn't have a shelter. A lot of them do, but it's not. We don't have to have that. So it's just a step in giving some relief for what we currently have. I'm going to continue pursuing to see if we can't get more relief in different areas. But for right now, this is what's available, and they're ready. They're ready to work with us when
We're ready.
when you're ready.
And who's the company that does this?
It is
Envirotest.
Envirotest, uh-huh.
They have a contract with the state of Tennessee, basically.
And I guess my question, why is it just 2 days a month?
Why?
Is it,
That's all that they currently have available.
okay.
They
And
only have a selected number, a limited number of those vehicles, and
Right.
they move them around, apparently.
Okay, start with that, see what the future brings maybe.
Right, and
Get
I-
more later on.
What is the current fee that the county gets out of this?
$1,
$1?
Do we get-
Okay.
$1 per vehicle.
All right. It was a quarter there for a long
It
time.
was, until 2015 it changed.
We could set one up in Rockville.
Well,
That would work.
You know, community
if
center.
I could get them an Eagleville when they're out there in Eagleville, that would work, but I can't get that to work right now, so. But like I said, I think this would be some relief. It's real popular in the other counties. So,
Well, as someone who 2 weeks ago tried to get testing, one time in the morning, the cars were lined up along the side of the road out to 99, which is dangerous as all get out.
it is.
And the second time, in the afternoon, I made it, but I mean, it's just incredible wait. It's
Yeah.
incredible wait time.
Envirotest informed me that the emission station we have in Murfreesboro has more than any of the other ones that they have.
Yeah.
And we are on the radar. And this is all that they have to offer us right now, and I wanted to take them up on it.
Is that the only one in Rutherford County, or does Smyrna has
We
one?
have one in Smyrna as well.
And do you need our approval for this, or?
We need your consent for her to pursue this and for us to ask the Conservation Board for permission to use. They're in control of and supervise the actual leasing and use of those properties out there. So just sort of give your consent that you agree with us getting their final approval to do this.
They'll come in, they'll plug it up at 1 o'clock, they'll unplug and they'll leave, and there will be no signs that they were there.
One comment, according to the information that you furnished me just recently, at the end of 2016, 242,910 registered vehicles in Rutherford County. The relief should be, oh, what a relief it would be.
However, through our emissions, we actually, they tested 254 vehicles. So you can test in any of the stations and still renew in the county that you live. So people are actually coming here, or they're here, using those facilities.
I think everybody's moving into the counties, bringing a couple of cars,
I think so.
each family.
Yes.
Motion to approve, Mr. Chairman.
Got a motion to approve?
Second.
Got a second? Any more discussion?
Mr. Ball?
Any more discussion?
No.
I don't know if we need to call a roll on this. We better call a roll. We might want to see it at the Conservation Board. Take no chances.
Commissioner Baum?
Yes.
Commissioner Cook?
Yes.
Commissioner Gooch?
Yeah.
Commissioner Johnson?
Yes.
Commissioner Cush?
Yes.
Commissioner McAdoo?
Yes. Okay. Any other business?
No, sir, not for me.
Any other business come before the committee? Not, entertain a motion to adjourn.
Thank you.
All right.